Good evening, here is top news newsletter starting with headlines. Syrian army carries out successful operations against terrorists in different areas. Iran won't buckle under failing oil price scenario, Rouhani. France faces more than 50 anti-Muslim attacks since Charlie Hebdo shootings. We have no strategy, ISIS is winning, John McCain. Syrian army destroyed dens and gathering of terrorists, killing many terrorists, some of them of Saudi nationality. A number of them and dens were destroyed near Al-Zahira Mosque in Harasta and a tunnel in Al-Ajam neighborhood, while number of terrorists were killed. In Al-Rihan farms in Douma and in Zamalka, the army carried out series of military operations. In Homs, units of the army killed and injured score of terrorists in the village of Rahum village in the eastern countryside of the province. While in Deir ez-Zor, the army directed heavy strikes against convoy of terrorists while moving from Al-Raqqa and the Mayadeen into Deir ez-Zor, destroying a number of their vehicles and killing many of them. Meanwhile, the army destroyed gathering of ISIS terrorists in Al-Imriyah, Al-Jafra, Al-Husayniyah, Al-Hamidiyah, and other areas in Deir ez-Zor and its countryside. During the operations, the army killed score of terrorists and destroyed an armored vehicle loaded with heavy machine guns and 2 boats on Euphrates River. In the Iranian View and in an address to a gathering of people in the southern Iranian province of Bushehr on Tuesday, President Rouhani said that Iran won't be pressured by the slump in oil prices, as it has envisaged economic plans to compensate for the drop. Rouhani said that his administration has based the country's budget on the lowest ever dependency on oil revenues, adding that oil sales account for only the third of Iran's budget. Those who have engineered the reduction in the price of oil to damage certain countries will regret and could not keep to such path, Rouhani added. Even before it could bury the dead from last week's terror attacks, France must deal with a new threat from an Al-Qaeda affiliate. Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, the terrorist group North Africa branch, issued a warning published on jihadist websites. France pays the cost of its violence on Muslim countries and the violation of their sanctity, AQIM said in its statement. As long as its soldiers occupy countries such as Mali, Central Africa, and bombard our people in Syria and Iraq, and as long as its lame media continues to undermine our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, France will expose itself to the worst and more. Pakistan hanged 7 convicted militants, AFP reported. This brings 16 the number of executions carried out since the country lifted a 6-year moratorium on the death penalty in December in response to a brutal Taliban assault on a school in Peshawar that left 150 dead. The executions carried out across the country came as U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry is visiting Pakistan. In the French View, over 50 attacks, including shootings, have been carried out against Muslim groups in France in less than a week since the fatal raid on satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo. The country's Muslim community says the 54 assaults comprise of 21 cases of gunfire and grenade throwing at Islamic buildings and 33 cases of threat, said Abdullah Zikri, a spokesman for the monitoring body at the Central Council of Muslims in France. The figure, which don't include raids in Paris and its suburbs, were provided by the French Interior Ministry, Zikri added. The attacks include a car belonging to a Muslim family being targeted by gunfire, the gate of a mosque being tagged with anti-Muslim gate fire, and a teenager being assaulted by a gang after suffering a racial abuse. Senator John McCain stated that the Obama administration has no strategy to defeat ISIS in Syria and Iraq. McCain criticized Obama's foreign policy as failure and said that now we have a situation where the largest extremist caliphate in history is now in Iraq and Syria. We have no strategy to degrade or defeat it. First of all, it would require some boots on the ground, not like the before, but we certainly need forward air controllers, McCain added. We haven't been able to drive ISIS out of town called Kobani, using the full weight of using American air power for several months now. We lost 86 brave Americans and 400 wounded to take Fallujah. That's 1/10 the size of Mosul. ISIS right now is winning. We need to fly zone, which many of us have been calling for years, and a coherent strategy that can be presented to the Congress, since it needs an authorization for the use of military force, he claimed. That's all for today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nibal Hnaidi. Good night.